What's up, Wisconsin? Welcome back to the Inside Wisconsin Show here on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Trevor Thomas and John Anderson back from Europe. It's Europe. Yep, it's Europe. Good to see you, man. Paris?
Plate. Yeah, Paris, France, Europe, the whole tectonic plate. Yep, I am. Yeah, and then I got home, and like a day later, I flew to Chicago and met my son, who was driving down from Green Bay after his summer with the Rockers, and we drove to Fayetteville, and so I come to you not from the Connecticut office. I am now in the Fayetteville, Arkansas office of Inside Wisconsin. So this is more of a satellite office. This is temporary.
It's not the only satellite office we've had.
No, every once in a while we get around. But, yeah, so it's good. And listen, some of the Wisconsin athletes were great. Obviously, you know how I love my Kung Fu Kenny. And he got another silver medal, which was great. And he ran unbelievable in the 100. There were just a bunch. Nobody ran a bad race. There were just some dudes that were a little faster. He was great. There were so many Badgers in the track and field. There were probably 10 of them. Some ran for Australia, Maury McDonald, Ollie Hoare. Zach Zymek hurt himself in the long jump, but still he fought through, jacked up his knee, which was great. So great for him. He's one of the few people that's ever qualified for 3 Olympic teams. I think he's the first that ever did it in the decathlon. There were Badger volleyball players. Wisconsin is always well represented, but you got to see a bunch of them on the track, which was great, including our guy, Kung Fu Kenny, and Kenny Harrison, who's been on the show. His Olympic record still stands, 18 meters 9 in the triple jump. So a lot of good stuff, but glad to be home because you know what they don't have there? They have, you think, they have, great food. They do. They have, unbelievable pastries. They do. They have cheese. Right. They don't have ice.
What?
They don't have ice. You go and I'm like, I'd like a Coke. And they take a Coke and they just pour it out of the bottle into the thing. And I'm like, is there ice? And they're like, and I'm like, look at the picture behind you showing the ice cold Coca-Cola. You need the ice. Yeah. So I'm glad just to be home just for the ice, if nothing else. Yeah. I don't know what they do if they sprain an ankle. You couldn't live there. As often as you hurt yourself, forget it. You'd be done.
Thank you. Welcome back. Before we jump in with Evan Smith today, former Packers center and now a head coach of a high school here in Northeast Wisconsin, real quick, can you explain what happened with Kenny and the baton thing? That made the news around here. A hell of a silver medal again, right? But explain it, Mr. Commentator of Track and Field Olympics. What happened?
They just botched it.
Oh, really? Is that
the guy who was the leadoff leg came flying in, Christian Coleman, and Kenny was not running fast enough going out, and he slowed down because he thought he was getting to the end of the exchange zone, and they just plowed into each other. And by the time they handed it off, they were out of the exchange zone. You have about, 20 or 30 meters to hand it, and they just botched the handoff. And Kenny was right. He's like, I screwed it up. Like, he took responsibility.
Did he leave too early?
He didn't leave fast enough. He maybe jumped a little early, and then he kind of slowed. And the thing is, he's a 200 runner. He doesn't run the 100 relays. He was a surprise to make the team, and most of the other guys do. Fred Curley runs that relay a lot. Christian always runs the first leg. So they've had guys that were Kyrie King that were that kind of knew what they were doing. It was the first time he got in there, and he just it's all it was. They just straight botched the handoff. And as bad as he felt, it made it worse because the U.S. has now DQ'd or dropped the baton, and they haven't won since 2020, whatever. It's been 5 or 6 Olympics, so they keep screwing it up again and again and again. Weird. So it's not like he's the first. It's not like they'd won 8 in a row and he botched it. They've screwed it up time and time and time and time again. So it was too bad. But yeah, he and Christian Coleman were not on the same page.
Dang. There was a lot of excitement for that, and obviously Wisconsin loved watching Kenny Bernard.
He would have gotten a gold medal. It would have been great. He'd finally gotten a gold medal.
Oh, so close, too.
Because they didn't have to be at their best. They were by far the best team. The Jamaicans weren't even there. They could have done fine, and they just went back.
Next time. All right. I was just curious.
On to better things. On to better things.
All right. So Evan Smith, former Packers center, is the guest on today's show. He was here 2009, undrafted free agent. We'll get to all of this. Spent, I think, 5 years here, and then,
and more.
We'll get to all this and lots more. Yeah, there is more. Evan is got some stories. It's real fun. Let's jump into it. Evan Smith, former Packers center, now the head coach of Manitowoc High School. You'll hear it. Evan Smith, the Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button, just get with us. Former Packers center, now the head coach of the Manitowoc Ships. That is Evan Smith. Ev, man, it's been a long time. What's up? Good to see you.
All right, good to see you, Trev. Yeah, definitely. It feels like it was just yesterday. I was 23, back in my rookie years, hanging out with you, dude.
Yeah, so fun.
And Trev is left out. Obviously, this is where we're simulcasting with our Inside Tampa podcast as well. So I'm glad you're dressed appropriately. So nice.
I was telling you guys beforehand, I just got done for the day. I grabbed a shirt, and so maybe it's like, this is what I work out in. These are my around the house kind of just chilling shirts. It just so happens to be those are all of my. I could go change and put my Big Sky shirt on. Go start repping some 1AA.
We're good. You're good. We're good.
Well, like that. No, I've seen you coaching that. That's good. I'm down with the what is it now? They're the bowl subdivision or the championship subdivision. Nobody knows.
It's still FCS, the football championship series. We were the original college playoffs, and all they have done is just stole the concept and started slapping bowl games on it,
and making gazillions on top of that.
Yeah,
I
wish I would have been able to see some of that.
Right. Don't we all? So when you first started playing football, and somebody would said one day you are going to be an NFL player, or one day they said you are going to be an NFL, you're going to be a high school football coach. Which one of those would you have found more believable?
The second one, probably the football coach. I mean, I knew I wanted to play. Growing up, I was around. Fortunate to be around a lot of high level people. Junior college. I always tell these people this, and people don't know. I met Jerry Kramer when I was 9 years old. I got a picture of me with his Super Bowl ring on, like, you know what I mean? Like this, missing like 3 teeth, all that kind of, I was getting in there. And so, no, I loved football when I was a kid. I couldn't wait to start playing tackle, play youth football. And I just loved to go out and play. I just had a fun time. And then all of a sudden people were like, hey, you're pretty good at this. and some college coaches started showing up, and I'm like, well, I guess this is going to be a thing. And then we kind of had to start really kind of looking into it. Like my senior year, I mean, I kind of had an idea because some teams were talking to me, but I'm like, I wanted to play in the Pac-12. I wanted to go play for Cal, or San Jose State or someone in California or in that part of it. And only the 1AA teams were showing up, and I was like, hey, I guess I'm just blessed that someone's giving me an opportunity, because I tell kids all the time now, I'm like, you get to college, I'm like, don't worry, they pay people a lot of money to come find football players, and they come from every division. So
yeah. Wasn't Larry Allen like Sonoma State or something that?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. They if you can play, they find you.
Yeah. Well, Nick Collins, Bethel Cookman. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, they're all over the place. I went to the same school that Jared Allen went to. That's honestly why I went there, was because I went to a game in Cal Poly. So they played Cal Poly. I went to the game and single-handedly watched Jared. It was like one of those times where you're like, whoa, like, you don't think like a guy can like really have an effect. So in that game, he had like 3 sacks, scored a touchdown as a tight end. He was the long snapper in college. And I watched him watched this returner. I think he was about to make a big play, and just saw him straight in half. And I'm watching this. I'm like, this is awesome. I was like, I'm going here. And my other option was Portland State, which is actually where my O-line coach, when I played in college, he's the head coach there now. But I went there and I was just like, hey, I wanted to go. All of a sudden I got there, I redshirted my first year, and then I started 44 out of 45 games after that. Never looked back.
You're the first guest on Inside Wisconsin that has a camera that moves on its own just to make sure that
I'm telling you, I'm not touching anything. Like hands up. It's what is going on, man?
There you go. Now you're back in the middle. Man, that's cool. So when you and I connected the other day to have you come on the show, you were talking about how much it means to you to impact the kids at the high school level, right?
Yeah,
so you're right. I mean, somebody probably saw you, or you probably saw yourself more as a coach back then. But now you bring all of this experience to a high school here in Wisconsin. How's that started?
So we had our scrimmage today. Went really well. We got through it, and I only got one kid that might miss maybe the first game with an ankle. Other than that, a lot of really good work. I'm trying to show these kids, the things that I didn't get a chance to really have. Like I told you, like when I was in high school, recruiters just kind of started showing up. And my coaches kind of helped me. But at the end of the day, like it really was on me, and these guys would just kind of show up, watch me do some stuff. And then next thing I know, they're like, hey, we want to fly you out. And I remember even in high school, I was 6'3", like 235, 240. But, they saw the athlete and what I would have turned into. And, that's what I get to see and I get to do with these kids, because I always tell it's like kids kind of do this. They go up and then they go out and then they go up and then they go out. And then eventually they hit the point and then they're just where they are, so it's kind of fun watching these kids grow into their bodies and kind of seeing how and what I can do to help them, because a lot of these kids too, it's like, it's confidence stuff, like they're unsure of what they want to do in the sport. And for me, I get to kind of be like, this is what you should be doing. Like, just let me teach you it. And then once we get out here, we start playing, they kind of like, yeah, like I should be doing this. And then, gears start turning, the confidence starts going up and you're like, here's this kid that, was really unsure about a whole lot of things and maybe not even want to play football. And now he's out here having the time of his life, and that's what makes it really special for me.
So kind of following that logic then, do you, when you work with with your kids on your team, do you find that you are imparting more stuff that you learn from as a high school and college player than you do in the NFL? Because it's a long way from the NFL, but they can learn stuff from what you went through when you were 17, 18, 19, 20.
Oh, they get it from all walk. They get it from every walk of my football career. I don't lean on any one more than the other. Because I have to pull from it. I have to pull from my experiences where it's like, I've been there. I know you're experiencing this right now. I can pull from my experiences like, as you're getting out of here, like this is what's about to happen if you go here. Like, choose the path you want to go after you walk out of this school. I want my kids to be able to walk out and be confident that they can go out, either go to college, we can get them a scholarship, or they can go be successful in anything they choose to do the rest of their life based off the lessons and the things that I taught them. And then honestly, a lot of my NFL stuff is really the coaching part of it. The technique stuff, the film study, the plays, just the level of, you want to be this, you got to do this, it's not just, oh, hey, we show up and like, we're good because we got a couple of good guys. Like if we have a couple of good guys, I want to be the best, which means that you guys got to give me your best, so as much as it is, I spend a lot of time trying to knock bad habits out of kids. And as they start believing in it, they start kind of see what I'm about and what I'm trying to help them do and everything like that. Then our relationships grow. And, it basically, these guys turn into one of my favorite teenage sons. And then I just get to watch these kids go out and just blossom and do everything. And I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, bro, I'm not playing for you. I'm just here to show you the way so you don't have to go the hard way like I did in some of the stuff in my life. Like I've been to the top, I've been to the bottom, I've been somewhere in between. Let me blast the hole in the mountain so you can see how to get through. You know what I mean? And just follow what I got going on.
Kids are lucky. Kids are lucky to have you. So Wisconsin's home now, which is awesome. Here with the Packers, and then Seattle for like a second, then back here. And then the Tampa Bay, but Wisconsin's home. And I believe this is where you met your wife, right? So that's why Wisconsin's home.
Hey, my wife.
I do. We're trying to make a show.
He knows my wife. No. So I met my wife my rookie year, and honestly, I grew up in California. I grew up around the Monterey Bay, so very, very, very pretty place out there. I always tell people, like, once you get away from the coast of California, it's just a desert. It's not as nice as everybody thinks it is. That's why it costs so much to live next to the ocean, because that's where everybody is. Because you get out this way, or you get out like into the towards Nevada, it's like, yeah, it's just desert and oil. But no, I got out here. I met my wife. We ended up having my daughter my second year. That was my huge wake up call as to, like, do you want to be an NFL player, or do you want to go and start being a substitute teacher and coaching high school football? It was like in my second year. And, after that, you guys kind of know the story. You know what I mean? Ended up playing after that, ended up playing 9 more years, did 10 seasons, 11 training camps. Unfortunately for me, the mind was willing, but the body was not able. I just had my hip replaced 2 months ago. So,
wow.
Oh yeah, good times. It was funny. We're in the summer. We go out to our first day of summer workouts. I told the kids, I was like, I'm showing up to that at 6:30, and I will be 7 days after having someone saw the bone off and jab a freaking metal rod in my hip so I can start walking and living a normal life again. Sure enough, like an old granny, I'm out there on my walker yelling at the kids.
Ouch.
Between that story and Trev going around on his tricycle or whatever he's got because of his Achilles, this is.
I blew out my Achilles.
Yeah, this is a sad story. By the way, I've driven down the Pacific Coast Highway. What is that, number 1 or whatever? Why would you ever leave that? Why would you ever leave that? I've been to Manitowoc. Your wife, I don't care if she's Miss Universe. Take her to California.
Well, I'm cut from a different cloth, I would say.
Okay.
I grew up snowboarding, doing all these things. When I went to college in Idaho, I started experiencing the 4 seasons, and I never wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's just like, oh, what are you doing here in Wisconsin? I'm like, well, they're like, what do you do in the winter? I'm like, all kinds of stuff. I get to mess with all my big fun toys that I have in my thing. I got tractors. We get to push snow all over the place. Trust me, the days are not, I'm not just sitting around doing nothing, and then I always tell people, it's like, you guys, Trev, you live here, dude. This is the best time of year to be in. If you're going to be in the world, be in Wisconsin during, basically the entire summer part. That's why they're called snowbirds. You got the guy, you got the Wisconsin people live up here, and then they want to go live in Florida during the winter. When I played down in Tampa, I'd always run into a lot of them. That's why every time we play the Packers down there, they'd have more fans than us, because half of the people that live there are from Wisconsin. So, but no, and one of the things that I really like about the school, if I could send you guys a picture, the school is right on Lake Michigan. So I'm hoping that someday we can get a practice field out there, and basically we'll be practicing with Lake Michigan in the background.
That feels like California.
Yeah, no, yeah. I tell people, like, you want to say Manitowoc, but honestly, it feels like where I grew up. It kind of feels like the Monterey Bay, kind of small town. It's a, small town, a lot of like wharf, boats, you still get a lot of the stuff. So, I don't get homesick that much. Not to mention my parents just moved out here. They built a place in Green Bay right up on Lake Michigan too. And, I don't know, it's one of the things my parents would say the same thing, like, I get it. It is a beautiful place. And every time I go back, I'm like, this is nice. But then you look at how much a house costs and you're like, yeah, I'll be okay.
Yeah, there is that. And when it comes to Lake Michigan or the Pacific, like, you can't see the other side.
No,
right?
And that's what kind of gets me. I'm like, it's like staring at the ocean. That's what I mean. So like for me, I walk out, you get some wind, like the waves are breaking. So to me, I'm just like, hey, I used to drive by this when I was a kid. Now it's not as like a nice of color as the ocean and blue and all that kind of stuff. And you don't get the mountain ranges because that like the ocean creates and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, last week, we went out into Lake Michigan and we did boat races as a team. It was like my team building activity. And I had, 5 kids. I had the offensive line carry the skill guys like out about 20 yards and back. And then it was like kind of a relay race between all the freshman and sophomore team and the varsity team. And then they all thought they were done. All the linemen were like, they're like, oh man. And then I turned around and I was like, all right, skill guys, you got to carry the offensive line now. Shit go down.
Nice.
So,
I tell you what, though, honestly, you speak really fondly. You could be on the Pocatello Chamber of Commerce. Coeur d'Alene, I know gets a lot of play in Idaho, but Idaho State, that 4 seasons, and how much you like it, that's pretty good. I'm sure most people think that you're out there just in just completely nowhere.
No. Well, no. So. No, I live in. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't live in Idaho anymore.
No, but when you went to school,
no. And that's so yeah. When I went to Idaho, and that was the nice thing. See, we got the 4 seasons because we were up in elevation so high. So we're like right on the tip of the Wasatch Mountain Range, and right where it kind of turns into Grand Tetons, like up into Wyoming. I only know all the stuff because I lived there for 5 years and just spent a lot of time driving through. But like. We kind of lived like right where, right on the edge of where the Great Salt Lake was before the dam burst and flooded everything out, made the Snake River and all that jazz. We had this really, really sweet, there's like a 3-lift place. It was called, I can't even remember what it's called. I think it was Preble Creek Ski Resort. So what we would do is during the winter, we had winter conditioning Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And on Wednesdays, like me, I got into like my sophomore, junior year, and I got a car up there. So on Wednesdays, we would go. We'd all be done with class like 10:30. We'd all meet up at someone's house, throw all our snowboards in the back, and then we go up and snowboard at this place for the rest of the day.
Let me ask you this. Let's get into the Packer thing. Maybe this will be a good story to end the segment with. And we talked a little bit about it off the air. I was with Evan the night before he made the team. It was cut day, which was back when they had to cut it down a second time, right?
Right.
And guys all around the locker room are getting calls. Evan was an undrafted free agent with the Packers back in 2008, 2009, correct?
2009. Yep.
So I'm with him the night before, and his phone never rang. Never got a call that said he was cut. And Ev, you said you just had to go there the next day and act like you made the team because you had no idea, right?
Oh, yeah. It was like one of those deals that, it's kind of like for me in college. Like, when I got there, I found out I wasn't, top priority offensive line guy, any of that kind of stuff, but I ended up being the best one, then I get to the NFL, my signing bonus was $3,000. I spent that, I basically, I paid off like a bill or two that I had through college, bought myself a little more food, and I think I got myself like an Xbox or something like that. But like, and then I think I funded some fun activities for me and my friend that night when I signed with the Packers.
Yep.
But like I said, at the end of the day, nobody's ever just opened up the door and be like, oh, hey son, like this is the door you need to be walking through. Everyone's just, I've had to stay kind of wait in line. And then, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this is the guy we want, And so honestly, it helped me out through a lot of my career. And this is stuff I talk about kids. Like, it doesn't matter. You can only control what you can control. And I always tell my kids, I'm like, it's you, it's not me. Like, I can't block for you. I can't play for you. I can call the plays. I'll take responsibilities when I put us in bad spots. But at the end of the day, if I call something and you guys aren't executing it, that's not my fault. That's your fault. And I tell these kids all the time too. It's like, I can yell at you, do whatever I want. You tell me all these things you want, but like at the end of the day, you have to do it. And that's kind of how I took everything with my life. Once I got in the NFL, it's like, if I don't show up, I don't work out on my own, I don't stay in shape, I don't put in the time, I don't study, I don't learn the plays, I don't do all these things, none of that would have happened for me. But I for some crazy reason, I just, kept my head down, one foot in front of the other. One foot in front of the other. Next thing I know, I looked up, and 10 years later, I had a great career.
Mm-hmm.
I think I played in 120 some odd games, started over 50 of them. That's nothing to bat. But for me, I'm like, I always wanted more. I wish it was 120 starts plus, but it is what it is. I took the opportunities that were given to me, made the best of them. Some things open for me. I was fortunate enough to actually get to a second contract, what basically 75 to 80% of all NFL players never even get a touch, and I got me a nice little slice of the pie, and now I get to sit back and enjoy it.
By the way, when you call plays for your kids, are you an offensive lineman? Like, we're going to road grade guys, or do you want to throw it every down?
You're going to get what you give me is what is going to happen. And it really is just at the end of the day, how do you want to die? You know what I mean? You want to die the slow death or the quick death, but it's going to happen regardless, But, like today in our scrimmage, I kind of had, I don't know, I think I drew here, here's my chicken scratch,
Oh, yeah,
here's my little chicken scratch thing. I had about 15 plays I wanted to run. I was trying to be super basic. And they came out and we kind of ran a few things, got on them real quick. And then next thing I know, I got like 7 guys in the box plus an 8th guy. And they're giving me my receivers outside one-on-one. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to do that today. I'm like, okay, since this is how we're going to play, next play we threw a touchdown to one of my receivers. And pretty much every time after that, we were going down the field because I got a quarterback that can throw it. I got a left tackle that should be playing for some Big Ten team next year. And if they don't give them a scholarship, they're idiots. I got, and the reason I took the job, I got talent just leaking all over the roster. I just don't have the mass majority of bodies to, participation down across the state that's just part of like what it is with high school football some days, but it's easy to get kids out when you have a successful program. And unfortunately, our program has been meh for probably about 7 years. I don't think they've had really much success since about 2011. So, I'm just trying to get us going in the right direction, show these people, hey, now that we can have some success, what do we do to start improving that? And our biggest thing is, unfortunately, our school is 100 years old.
Real quick then, before we do break, high school football is so much more than just your squad, right? It is a community. It is the booster club and the band and their cheerleaders. What's that engagement like for you as the head of that?
I got a lot of people to deal with. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this is what I went to college for. Like, I got my degree in sports management.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to get my master's in athletic administration, but the football thing kind of happened for me, and I'm like, I'll be all right. I can always, I was like, I could always go back whenever, but before I took this job, I was kind of at a crossroads because, like I said, I was trying to run my own business. I was kind of doing some landscaping stuff. I didn't really want to get into hiring people. I was just kind of trying to keep it solo, and it's kind of got to the part where, my body's so torn up from football, and I'm out here just keep beating it down. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I got to make a shift. So my next move was I was either going to try to get into scouting at the Packers, try to get on the staff at the Packers, or I was going to take this job. And I got the interview first here before I got to get anywhere else with the Packers. You know what I mean? And they had the interview. They called me back like a day later and said, you're you got it. And I basically haven't looked back since then.
Man, that's fun. So much more to cover. Evan Smith, former Packers center. We're back in a second. The Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube, leave a review, smash the like button. Just get with us. Packers season is back upon us. Are you going to be here for week 2? Is that what I heard you say in a previous episode?
Yeah, I'm going to come for the Colts game. Yep, that's the plan. One of my dear friends who I do a lot of track with for ESPN, Lara Overton Tucker, she is the main content reporter for the Colts. there in Indy. So she's coming. She's bringing a bunch of family, and they've already got an Airbnb. So they're making a big celebration, and we're coming, and we're going to have lots of people and lots of fun. And then hopefully just, kick the snot out of them.
And Steve TV Levy is in town. I thought you said that, right?
Yep. Levy's got that game too. Yes. So Steve TV Levy will be present. Yep.
Reunion. Well, I know that you already have tickets. I do not. And many people that are watching or listening probably don't have tickets as well. You can win them. Win Packers tickets with Festival Foods. Here's how you do it. You have to text MVP to 78402 to enter to win. You can go on the website and find all the information there. It's festfoods.com. Click on the G. You can win 2 tickets to the Festival Foods MVP deck. So text MVP 78402. JA, I have sat in the MVP deck. It's legit. Everything that you want. You have?
I went up there when I went on my tour with my friend Byron. He took us up there.
Nice.
So that's part of the tour. If you get the big one, you stop over there. So I've been up there. Not on game day. It was really empty. I understand it's much better when the bar's open.
Yeah, it is. Yep. You get a couple, 2-3 tickets.
Yeah.
I was in there the last time I was in there. It's been a while. San Francisco playoff game when Colin Kaepernick ran all over us.
Well, that could have been about 3 of them, but yeah. By the way, it was Wisconsin showing 2 tree
drink tickets.
I've been up there 2-3 games.
It's been a minute. All right. Festfoods.com. Click on the G. Get to a Packer game in the Festival Foods MVP deck on them. Go Pack, go. Time for another Inside Wisconsin Top 5 list presented by the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, a top university in Wisconsin. UW-Platteville ranks in the top 20 for regional universities here in the Midwest because of its quality academic programs, expert faculty, and affordable tuition. Learn more at uwplatt.edu. Look at this, a special guest for this week's top 5 list. That is Colin Anderson, John Anderson's son. Kyle, good to see you again.
Why he suddenly got a lot younger and more attractive, that explains it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you. Congratulations on that. If you want to know what you're going to look like when you get older, just go find your dad. That's what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. I got a while.
Yeah, just a minute or two. Yeah, a lot of life left in you. All right. So while we were having a summer of our lives here in Green Bay, you were here.
I was. I spent the summer in Wisconsin. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us real quick what you were doing here.
So I was one of the 2 play-by-play broadcasters for the Green Bay Rockers, the Northwoods League summer ball team that they have up there. They play just around the block from Lambeau Field. And yeah, I was one of the 2 guys to do play-by-play for those televised games. And it was awesome. And I had a ton of fun.
Absolute blast. Mm-hmm. How much time had you spent in Green Bay prior to this summer?
We try to make it back like once a year at least, or I try to go back at least once a year, whether that's for a Packers game or to see family or something like that. It doesn't always pan out, but probably never more than like 1 concurrent week. And, I've just lived up there for about 100 days.
Total. That's insane. All right. So the top 5 moments of Colin Anderson's summer interning for the Rockers. Real quick before you jump in, are these the top 5 moments from games, or are these the top 5 moments of living with your grandma for a summer?
Top 5 moments of living with grandma is 1, fresh baked cookies whenever I get home at the ungodly hours of the day, which is there. And then, everything else is playing for second. So that's really, you can't beat it. You can't.
Yeah. I think I'm curious to know, do you think she made cookies for your dad whenever he wanted them? Probably not, huh?
I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure. Probably a pie at some point too. But
that's maybe 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 1 singular pie for all 3 months.
So your dad would call those honorable mentions. What is number 5 on the top 5 things that you experienced interning with the Rockers here in Green Bay?
So, I'll give a honorable mention too. It has to be an 1.5 hour rain delay in Fond du Lac the night before we had a doubleheader, at home at the ballpark, our busiest day of the year, and we don't get home from Fond du Lac, which is like the closest team we play. Yeah. It's only like a 45-minute drive for us, and it was, we got back at 2 a.m. and I was turned around and at my desk in the office by like 8 o'clock. And that was honorable mention goes out to that one.
Welcome to broadcasting, bud.
Yeah, the other 5 are moments from games, because as a broadcaster, whether I'm the one calling them or I'm working them or I'm traveling with the team and putting it on social media or doing something for it, just these are the things that have stuck out in my mind and just kind of left a lasting impression on me. So number 5, and the reason it's down there is because it's the really easy one to pick, was the walk-off home run in that doubleheader I mentioned. We won the first game. We were down 5-4 heading to the bottom of the 9th, got our leadoff man to first base, and then one of our best hitters, Sam Miller, hit a walk-off home run to win the game. Reason it's not higher is because it came against the Minnesota Mud Puppies, who only play road games and play half as much as anybody else and won like 4 games all year. So it was like, we kind of, yeah, exactly. Right. So we kind of expected to beat them. And it just made it way closer than it should have been. It was a great way to win it, but there's a walk-off higher up on the list that we'll get to later that wasn't a home run, but was up there as well. So that
was this one
off against Minnesota.
Was this one your first walk-off home run call?
Yes. Yeah. I think we only had the one walk-off home run.
Make sure you get that on tape. You're going to want to hang on to that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yes. So, 4. So speaking of home runs, Sam Miller, who I mentioned, finished on the team with 10 home runs. He finished 3rd on the team. The 2 guys in front of him tied for the franchise record in home runs. They both hit 12 this summer, which is an unreal number. We were like one of the only teams, if not the only team, to have 3 guys in double digits. And these 2 guys, Jake Bold and Nick Harms, had been going back and forth all summer, like right at that, like right around the same home run total, right? So if Bold hit one of them, Harms would have another one within like 3 days. And so in our penultimate game of the season, Bold gets up with the bases loaded and hits a grand slam against Wisconsin Rapids. And that one was to set the franchise record at 12. It was at 11, and that's the one. And you're like, that's, how do you top that, right? The one of the best hitting seasons for a rocker is capped off by him hitting a grand slam. Like, that was unbelievable. And the next day, in the top of the 9th, here comes Nick Harms to do the same thing with Bold on first base. And I kid you not, they both like crossed the plate like pretty much together. Like Bold like really slow trotted around it. I don't think there was anybody happier that Harms tied with him than Bold. And it was an awesome moment, right? To see 2 guys hit the franchise record within 2 days of each other was awesome.
Who had it before that? Was it a bullfrog back in the day?
Yes. Yeah. It was a bullfrog before then. I'm not sure who it was off the top of my head. But it had stood since the 2010s, like the early 2010s.
Nice. I would have been there.
Yeah.
You have to look that up and let me know who it is.
Yep. And so number 3 on the list, another home run record, is we set the league record for most home runs in a single season.
Oh, wow.
The previous one was 76 by the Rochester team in 2017.
The Honkers.
Yep, the Honkers. And so I got to call number 76. That was tied. And then we hit 5 more of them. We finished with 81, right? Including the Bold and the Harms one.
That's great.
Yep. And so I got to call the tying one at 76. I was pissed because I wanted to call 77 too. And I was like, I need you to get 2 because we don't have another home game after this one, right? We tied the record in our final home game. And so I'm like, you know what, we'll settle for that. And then the next game, it was our first baseman or returner from last year, Mateo, who hit the record setting one. And that was just, awesome, right? Because it had something that had never been done before in league history. And then we go on to hit 4 more after that. So again, right, setting a franchise record is one thing, and then being a part of the team that is like one of the most successful offensive Northwoods League teams of all time, like 81 home runs is stupid. We led the league last year with 66, and now there were like 5 teams above 70. And then, nobody else had gotten to the 80 mark. And so that was an awesome, awesome thing to experience and be a part of.
Did you take staff BP?
I did take staff VP. That was before the last game.
How'd we do?
I was a terrible first round, because I hadn't swung a bat in 8 years and I probably haven't gotten a hit in 10. But so I took a little bit to get the swing back into it. And, during rounds 2, 3, 4, I kind of got back into a little rhythm. Wasn't really, I was chasing fences. Absolutely.
Of course
right. Let's set that straight. Right. But there were a lot of base hits there. Like I would have gotten on base a bunch, shallow outfields, hitting the gaps just right. Like it was a clinic.
Did we catch any fences?
No, of course not. No. I'm not swinging a bat for the first time in 8 years and 330 over the ball. So,
all right, number 2.
Nothing there. So number 2 is the previously mentioned the other walk-off that we had. It was one of 2 extra innings games that we had all summer, and it was one of our supper clubbers nights where we have like special jerseys and we have a fish fry at the park, and it's awesome, and the environment is so cool and it's great. And we had 3 of them, and we were 0-2 coming into the final one, and we're playing the Wausau Woodchucks, who finished with the best record in the entire league. And we get up, and bases are loaded in extra innings, and we have a guy who's a pinch hitter coming up for like his second plate appearance of the game, and he hits one deep to right field, and it was a sac fly, and the guy came in to score from third. And it's like, to walk off on one of these like specialty nights in extras against the best team in the league, like it was so much fun, and the energy in the entire stadium, like 2,400 people were there going crazy. There were fireworks afterwards. It was one of the highlights of the season for sure, but
that's awesome.
Can only find its way at number 2.
All right. So this is a big one now.
Yeah. So we set a lot of league records, and this one's not a record, but it's only happened 17 other times in the 31-year history of the league. Was when Sam Miller, who had the walk-off home run at number 5, Miller hit for the cycle. First person to do it in Green Bay history, right? Hit for the cycle, was like lights out, 4 for 4 at the plate, was unbelievable. And he hits for the cycle. It was the 18th time it had ever happened in league history. And more specifically, like if that wasn't enough, so I get to go down and I interview him post game, and I'm asking him about it. And I don't know if you've seen some of those clips where guys are getting like interviewed post game and their teammates are just being absolute buffoons behind them. Yep. That's what happened. Our hitting coach had instructed several of the players to go and mess with him during the interview. Right. So of course, right, I'm asking him the first question, and he gets the Gatorade bath, which was great. I got out of the way of that one,
Oh, you did. Congratulations. That's
I wasn't in the business of buying replacement microphones.
Doing your best Sophia Minnaert impression and getting doused.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Just dipping out of the way. So that was great. And then just the whole rest of the time, right? Like they're feeding him popcorn. Guys are juggling in the background, right? Guys are walking around with buckets on their head. Like it was so funny. Like they're like, they're taking Miller's hat. They're putting a helmet on him, sunglasses, just they're just being absolute idiots. And it was so funny. And I got maybe 6 words out of him because he couldn't figure out what was going on between being fed like kettle corn and just like dudes like putting sunglasses on him and like trying to balance a cleat on his helmet. Like it was madness, and it was so funny. And it was easily by far like the best interview that I had done, just from it was so fun to be a part of. It's so fun to do. And it was just great and memorable. And it made like a historic moment even more special for me. So that easily finds its way up there at number 1, especially because of the interview.
I would say that your enthusiasm from the summer means that you're actually going to stick with this broadcast thing. That's awesome. Well done.
Yeah. It didn't turn me away, right? The 70 games in 74 days or whatever it was actually like, did not say, okay, that's not something I want to do. No, it was so much fun. And I loved my experience up in Green Bay. And I'm thankful to everybody who's a part of the team for hiring me and letting me come out this summer. And it's been awesome.
We're back, the Inside Wisconsin show. Trevor John and Evan Smith of Packers and Bucks fame, but more Packers fame. So let's talk about that. some good years here in Green Bay, and you got
Loved
a little jewelry from your time here. So maybe just take us through your Packers career. Oh, we're going to go grab something that is Packers related.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you mean this little guy right here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's a nice little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, here. I'm going to move it this way, and it's going to feel like it's moving opposite. This is my office. You know, I'm just not like you guys where I got all the cool background stuff, because my idea is behind me, I'm supposed to have a dry erase board to be writing down all my plays on instead of, you know, this and this and, you know what I mean? Like, I'm drowning in printer paper right now. You know, I got to get something on the wall here. But this guy, trust me, when I took over and I made my speech to all my kids, I said, I want to get you guys a ring like this, something similar, just so you can understand what it felt like. Because that's why these guys pay all that damn money. Because, you know, they try to buy winning, but you can't buy winning. You can only win by going out there and playing the game. You know, like, I feel for the owners, all that kind of stuff, but like, it's the players. And that's like, you know, and that's one thing I always tell guys. It's like, football is fun. It's supposed to be fun, but it is way more fun. And it is supposed to be fun because you're supposed to learn how to win. And not every team in the NFL knows how to do that. Like, look at what Dan Campbell's doing with the Lions. You know, it took them a little bit to get out of their own way, but now these guys believe, and now they are competitive and they understand how to win. You know, fortunately for, you know, the old green and gold here, you know, it got to experience winning, and that's just kind of what we do around here. Like, that's the standard. You know, like, I've never, like, when I was in there for 5 years, we never walked in and we're like, well, guys, let's see if we can be competitive in the division this year. No, it was, we're going to kick everyone's ass, and we're going to get here, and we're just trying to find out how we can get home field advantage. That was it. Every 5 years in a row in the playoffs.
Tell me how come centers are always the smartest guy, not just on the line, but usually like on the team. Like, that's your rep always, is the centers are the smart guys.
I don't say I'm the smartest. You know, I'm knowledgeable. You know, I'm never claimed to be the smartest one in the room. Sometimes I can tell when I am, when I'm not. But it's because you have to control so much at that position, right? Your job isn't just to get the ball to the quarterback. Your job is basically to tell everybody what to do. And in all honesty, in some instances when I played, I controlled everything. Right. Like protection, the whole nine. Like, quarterbacks weren't allowed to do it. I did it because they had no clue what they were doing back there. And that sucked because that was a crappy team. You know what I mean? Like, but it is not fun to do that stuff. Oh no, trust me. When I was in left tackle when I was left tackle in college, I was watching some old film. I was like, dude, that was like, tackle is cake. I was like, you know, and don't get me wrong, it's a hard spot because of the dudes you got to block sometimes. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, all you're really asked to do is block like two dudes. You block it in, you block attack, block it in. You know, you might have to pick up a blitz here and there. You know what I mean? But like, you know, usually you don't have a bunch of guys around your legs, and you know, people aren't stepping on your feet. You know, you get to be the nice, pretty one out on the edge, and you know, get paid all the nice money and everything. Right. You know, but I always tell people too, it's like, we got to be smart, but you know, and the other thing is too is we aren't always the biggest guy. You know, sometimes our technique, our ability to get stuff done and all those kind of things, that's what keeps us there. I mean, I don't know how many centers in the league where I'm like, you watch them on Sundays and you get to kind of go see them in person, and you're like, I didn't know that guy was that small. And then you watch him play, though, and he can just be out there kicking ass. You know, and it's the old saying, it ain't the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight, or, you know, ain't the size of the, I don't know, you know, the bark in the dog, it's the
right.
Yeah.
Like I said, my brain is running out of my one-liners. I used too many of them earlier with all my kids. So
have you brought up TJ a little bit ago, and we talked about Breno and some of the guys that we used to hang with. Do you stay in contact with any of those guys still?
Oh, you know, Instagram, stuff like that here and there. But, you know, I'll say one thing about the NFL, you know, it's rare. It happens, but like, really, you know, like, I know a lot of guys, I can hit any of them up and start talking to them like we just saw each other the other day, you know, and then I'm going to see you tomorrow kind of deal. that's just how it is with football, because the only unfortunate part is once we leave those places, there's going to be pretty much I'd say like a 60% chance I'll never see you again in my life, unless I just so happen to run into you at like some alumni event or randomly at the supermarket. But the thing is when you get to see those guys, you get to hang out with them, like it just, everything comes rushing back. And like I say, you just pick up right where you left off. It's this weird kind of unique bond that you form with these guys. But, we all come from different walks of life. We all grow up in different places, and our plans for when we leave, your place of business to go back home for your off-season stuff, everybody's got different ideas.
You talked about playing with Aaron Rodgers, and we talk about the Packers like, oh, they only had they've had two quarterbacks for all this time. There were other ones that you got to play with. This is not an indictment on them at all, but you played with Matt Flynn, Seneca Wallace, Scott Tolzien. You were down in Tampa with Fitzmagic and Jameson. I just want to know, like,
Josh
those
McCown
guys all
too.
can play.
Yep, Josh McCown too.
I just want to know, compare something because, like, since we don't play, help us appreciate, like, how good is Aaron's good?
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like, there's guys that can throw it, and there's guys and then there's Aaron. Like, I've seen Aaron put balls this close behind my ear, between something about that big, dude, what it looked like, and just snap it right in there, man. I've seen him throw 30-yard just frozen ropes right behind guys' freaking head, like right behind guys' heads. Not like this close behind their head. Sorry, I gotta do this way. Not like this close. I'm talking like this.
Jeez.
Like pinpoint. Like you get to sit there. I know you've probably been to one of the practices. You watch them do the ball drills and all that stuff, and you watch them do those deep throws into the nets and everything that everybody does now and all that stuff. Like, it was one of those things. Like, you get to go out there and you'd hear it, and guys would throw the ball. Like Flynn had some zip on. Like Flynn had a good zip on his ball. He threw a good deep ball, but like Aaron's ball dropped to the ground like a mortar round. Like, you can hear that thing, like I said, he had a different snap on the ball. I'm sure that's probably how it felt being with Favre. You know what I mean? These guys that just throw a million miles an hour. But the thing is he's only gotten better over the years with a lot of this stuff. His only deal is sometimes he has to play in a box because of injuries or anything else like that, but I honestly don't be surprised they come out and do some stuff. As long as he can stay healthy, he makes any team a contender because he is that good. And as long, it's like, and I think one of his biggest things too, and it's what I learned there, it's like, you gotta learn how to trust, dude. But like, if Aaron trusted you, like, you're gonna, like, if he trusted you, like, he would allow you, like, the guys he throws to, he'd always comment on that kind of stuff, right? But like, you actually see that stuff. And it wasn't because it's like, oh, I don't hate you or this or that. It's like, because when he would do it, he needs to know on the other end of whatever it was, like, you were getting your job done. Like, they didn't just let me out there as a center at some point. Like, I had to go, but I'll tell you what, like, he encouraged me the whole way. He was like, but, I had my bad snaps here and there. I'm sure you've heard the famous one of him, screaming and cussing out his center. Trust me, he's done that to all of us. You know what I mean? Like, that's not an isolated incident, but like, that's the kind of quarterback he was, but he was never like an a-hole about it. There's some quarterbacks, it's like, you think of like Troy when you see some of that old stuff where he's always there, but that's how they played back then. Like, that's how he challenged his guys to come out and do everything he wanted to do. Aaron's challenge was, are you going to play up to my level? Because if you're not going to be on our level in this group, you're probably not going to be there. So he raised your game just based off of his, just his demands. And that's what he did. And then, like I said, everybody wants to say, oh, you find a guy. It's like, listen, dude, like, you got a golden goose. It's a golden goose. They're very rare. It's not like it's not like this dude's a freaking Bronco that everyone can go buy. You know what I mean? That's why they keep drafting and paying these quarterbacks stupid money, only to hope that you find the next Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre or whatever it is,
Yeah. Okay, one more quick one before we take our second break and come back for the lightning round. Ndamukong Suh. You just go ahead and talk. What happened with the stomp? Why did that happen? What's the behind the scenes with getting stomped by Ndamukong Suh?
You ever seen the play?
Mm-hmm.
What happened on the play before the fight? Before the whistle was blown, do you guys know what happened on the play?
No, but please tell us.
He got his ass whooped, and I pancaked him, and it's one of those things like you guys just see this report about Jim Schwartz, the between what was it, the joint practices that the Browns were at.
Yep.
I just saw this thing. It was like, they told him that the Browns defense to like calm down. And, so he comes from the Jeff Fisher tree. All right. And I'm sure Jeff was a great guy. Never got to play for him or anything like that. But he taught his guys to play like scumbags. They would take cheap shots that, we weren't going to win. You were going out of there unharmed. Like that was their motto. You know what I mean? Like every time I played a squad from any coach that came out of that tree, like that's how they played. And don't get me wrong, Jim is a hell of a defensive coach. That he gets those defenses and they play hard, but they are very nasty because that's how he coaches them to be. He does not, he's not one of those guys. He's like, I'm going to take off the restraints. I got respect for that, because like I said, I played, you got to have some kind of attitude or nastiness about you if you want to be successful out there playing. Like you can be a nice guy, but he gets in there and they lock the cage, like, you got to go hunt. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things like, oh, hey, like we're just kind of playing around, having patty. No, like brotherly love is not part of that. And, parts of the time you try and do that, but all the best times or best time I was playing, like that's why I was playing so good against the Lions because I hated them. Seriously, like, hold on real quick. Let me get her one more.
Yeah, get it.
Where is it?
What do we got?
This is why they used to call me old Detroit.
Oh,
read that, boy.
There you go.
11 knockdowns, physical
11
play.
knockdowns, homie. I got a game ball for that game.
That was the game?
Yeah, I got a game ball. I got the offensive game ball. Nobody else on offense got that. I got that game ball. You know what I mean? But like I told you, no, that was later on after that game. I think that was like the year after that because it was funny. I ended up playing him quite a bit, but then like the next year they drafted Sue. Then the next year they drafted Fairley, and Jim was, oh great, I got another guy. And both those dudes were really, really good. That was a really, really good defensive line. They had Cliff, Fairley, Sue, Vanden Bosch. It was a pretty good defense, and those were probably some of my favorite games because, like I said, sometimes I'm not out there trying, I got a family too, not out there trying to put guys out for the rest of the year and stuff like that. But when I played those dudes, like I could care less who got hurt. I was dead. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there was a respect for that. Like as I got older in the league, those kind of things, and you're out there, and all of a sudden you're out there. You walk into the rooms afterwards, and guys got like 3 kids, wife, all that kind of stuff. It's like, bro, ain't none of us that need to be out here laid up with crutches and knee braces and all that stuff because we out here trying to hurt each other on the field. Like there's a way to play this game at a very physically high demanding level, but like I said, some of that scumbag, I'm gonna late shot, like spit in your face, step on you, all that kind of crap, bro. Like that's all top behavior. That's what it was. Like when that incident went down, we'd seen that kind of shit going on in film. Like they played the Niners the week before. You remember the old Jim Harbaugh, like, and Schwartz, he tried to, run him down the field and fight him and shit like that. We were watching it on there, dude. And like one play, I think it was Alex Boone and Anthony Davis, real good dudes. I ended up meeting Alex, really love that guy. They just knocked the shit out of him. Just pile driving. It was a freaking goal line play. Next play, just total disregard for any football thing come off. I watched Sue just jump off the ball, grab that dude's face mask, and literally take his helmet, and his face mask went from here to like this. And he kept trying to bend it to like bend his neck like that. And you see that kind of stuff, and you're like, what are we doing out here? It's like same thing with Albert Hainsworth, because who did Albert Hainsworth play for? Jeff Fisher. When he stepped on that, remember when he stepped on the center from, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you probably reported that on SportsCenter, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that made a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But you want to know what? That's what I'm saying, though. If you wanted to go back, you really want to look at a history of something, go back and look at everything that probably happened in those kind of incidents. They're all either one of Jeff Fisher's guys or some coach from his tree. Like I said, I'm not trying to bash Jeff. Football is a violent game. You know what I mean? I like the attitude. But when you're at that level, you know, and the amount of money and, you know, the time and the effort these guys have, and you got families and everything like that, bro, like, you know, I've watched enough guys that I play with watch their careers in right in front of my eyes. Yeah. Literally like that. To sit there and be like, bro, like, we really out here trying to hurt each other like that? Like, that's not, like, this isn't that serious.
So you pancaked him. That's it. And that's why he kicked you. And the whole Jeff Fisher.
Yeah. So that is exactly what happened. Yeah. I pancaked him. And then I tried it. And then I could kind of tell it. And I knew he was going to come back because I knew next play he was coming after me. So I just started fighting him right there. I was like, the hell with this. So I basically, I was kind of pancaking him on the ground. And then all of a sudden I could start feeling him kind of like trying to do something. So we kind of started fighting. It just so happens where whatever the position was at the time, he kind of just so happened to have a little more leverage on top of after what we were. You know, old TJ comes over trying to pull him off and bam, right in front of the ref. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, and like I said, at the end of the day, I played that dude a ton after that fact. We never had a problem after that. You know what I mean? But like, you know, it took about all that to happen for him to kind of be like, okay. You know, but like I said, it is what it is. Like football is a violent game. It is not it's not a contact sport. It's not. It is a hard hitting game, and it's about as close as you're going to get to something that you can do without cage combat getting involved.
Right. Okay. Royal Rumble. All right, that's it. Segment 2. We'll wrap it up with Evan Smith, former Packers center, in just a minute. The Inside Wisconsin Show.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us. All right, so we know J.J. Watt is one of the Miller Lite All-Stars. He's been in the ads. He was actually just here in Northeast Wisconsin for the U.S. Venture Open. You ever played in that?
No.
Back in the day? No. Huge fundraiser to end poverty here in Northeast Wisconsin. They have a celebrity come in every time J.J. was in town. Here's where I'm going with this. He's one of the Packers Miller Lite All-Stars, not Packers, Miller Lite All-Stars.
Right.
I saw a picture of him online, and he's holding a beer up and kind of saying like, hey, cheers or whatever. Sure. The label, the Miller Lite bottle label is facing him. It's like, it looks like a plain old bottle. I was like, buddy, if you're going to be a Miller Lite All-Star, we got to turn it legitimately. Like it was oh, look at that. The lights on the both sides. That didn't work, did it? Yeah, you have to face the label, man. Face the label. That's what I'm getting at.
But don't you think? But don't you think right there the packaging itself is whether you could see light or not?
Yeah, no, but it was a brown bottle. It was a brown Miller Lite bottle, and the label was on the back. I'm just saying whether it's tastes great, less filling.
It's all about what's inside the bottle.
Fair.
All about what's inside the bottle is delicious.
So for a minute, I tried to memorize what's on the outside based on it says. Inside is a fine Pilsner beer brewed with the highest quality ingredients. And I never have a bottle in my hand long enough to actually memorize what's on this little thing, but this is on the labels too. Anyway, tastes great, less filling, all the above things. J.J. Watts, I've been in contact with his agent, by the way. We're making this happen.
Good, because right now, after you've sort of said he was a dope for holding the bottle a long way, you're going to really help it out.
I didn't call him a dope. I just said that there was opportunity to turn I'm going to read the legal and get the hell out of this.
All right, perfect.
You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/InsideWisconsin, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. Yes, you.
It is available in Fayetteville, Arkansas as well.
Did you? Okay, good. Did you find any over in Paris? That's what I want to know.
I didn't have time to look for anything in Paris. No, I think they had a Heineken. I don't know. I have no idea. I really didn't. It was hard enough. Like they didn't have ice. I just wanted Coke with ice. Forget ice cold Miller Lite, right? So
we're back to wrap it up. Evan Smith, former Packers center, played in Tampa as well. Now the head coach of the Manitowoc Ships. All right, 2 for me, then the ever-famous JA lightning round. Here are my 2. Ev, number 1, I am going out to dinner with Scott Wells and Chad Clifton in Nashville for week 3. Myself, my wife, 2 of our best friends are going down there for the game. We're with the Packers alumni, and we're going out to dinner with those 2 dudes. So what do I need to know?
Call Chad Cheddar Bob.
Cheddar Bob?
He's a big old rich pig now. Big old rich pig. So we called him Cheddar Bob.
Okay.
Or you can call him the Big Lamborghini.
Okay.
Because he would never practice, and the comment was, "Hey man, you're only supposed to pull the Lambo out on Sundays." So,
that's awesome.
Scotty
Wells.
Scotty, just call him Scoots.
Fun.
Make fun of his beard.
That's hilarious.
And tell him I said, "What's up, dude?" Because honestly, Scott was probably the number one reason I ended up actually going as far as I did in the league. Because, I remember I got back, I signed back for the thing. I'll make this one quick so we can get to it. But, I got back on the team. They put you up in the Wingate. You remember the Wingate? It's still there.
Yep.
I don't know if ESPN, put you guys up there, but it's a special place. It's got its own charm. And at 5:00, the beer is free.
There you go.
Yeah, they would always have like a little happy hour thing. Dude, we would crush that stuff. Like,
that's awesome.
So, I got back and they're like, "All right, we'll put you up here for a couple of days, and then you gotta figure it out." You know what I mean? And Scott offered me a place to stay and let me stay with them and all that kind of stuff until I kind of got back on my feet out here in Wisconsin. And we would drive to practice, talk a lot, instead of him, because some guys you get in the league and it's like, I'm not helping this guy out. You heard the Favre whole thing. It's not my job to get this guy ready. That's always been the age old cliche of, in the NFL, it's like, this guy's coming for your job. He's coming for your job. My intention was, he didn't see it. It's like, oh, here's this dude that's coming. He just saw a guy that wanted to be on, he just wanted to be out there. And, he knew I had a family, things were different for me from when I was first year. So like I said, when I came back the second time, I had an extra package with me. She is now 13 and going into 8th grade. You know what I mean? And so for me, honestly, Scott's like one of my favorite dudes I ever played with, just because he went out of his way and did a lot to help me out that he never had to do. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And
really cool.
And I appreciate those kind of things as a player. And I always try to reciprocate them as like a person.
By the way, be careful, because 8th grade girls are meaner than anything on out of the Jeff Fisher tree.
At this point, my daughter's so embarrassed of me. I'm at the fun age where all of a sudden everyone comes in and I'll just walk in the room and I'm like, well, you can hear a pin drop in here. I was like, what's going on? And the funny thing is all her best friends are boys. She's just, that's just how, she's not in the girl gossip group. She's not one of those ones. She's basically me. She's like, she can make a friend with anybody, any kind of thing like that. One of those deals. But no, I mean, even the other day she had her friends over. I'll walk in the room and I'm like, what's going on, guys? And I can get maybe 4 words out of everybody in the room. As soon as I leave the room, it's they're gonna get me. You know what I'm saying? So no.
All right, last one for me. What was your favorite O-line dinner spot here in Green Bay?
Ooh. So my last year, the year that Aaron broke his collarbone, right? At one point, right, we've been going out. We've done, we went to all the different places. It was all good. We found some fun ones. And then so it was Dave Bakhtiari's rookie year, right? Dave takes us bowling at the gutter in Swamico. And it just became what we did for the rest of the year. And it was so much fun. Like Kuhn would show up and like, so they, we start betting on stuff, dude. The pitchers start coming in, all of a sudden voices start going down and arguments. They like Aaron's favorite thing to do would just start an argument with Kuhn and then everyone would jump in. So that John would start arguing with everybody else. And Aaron would just sit back and just be like, like just sit there, it's like one of those things, because he'd get in there and, John would be like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, I can't bring my own ball? That's what we're doing now? I'd be like, John, we're bowling with regular balls. Like, is it that serious? He's like, money's on the line. So like it turned it was fun. And then we ended up doing a thing because I lived right down the road from City Bob. Like we would switch off nights as to who would drive. So we'd always have sober drivers, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, for some reason, John always got a free ride. You know what I mean? And but like that's the thing, O-line dinners and stuff like that. Like we always invite the skill guys. If they show up, great. If not, don't ever show up again if we asked you and you didn't come. You know what I mean? So it was like either you're with us or you're never getting in this group again. But it was fun. And it was really fun too, because like I said, for Aaron, like a lot he can go out and do in town. You know what I mean? We would invite him for stuff. When you go to some of those spots, like it was almost impossible for him to show up. Like we get out there, it's the Cosmic Bowl, dark out there. We'd be like the only people in the lanes on a Thursday night, just hammered beer, pizza. You know what I mean? And but I know that sounds like you're like, oh wow, thought you were going to say like some great restaurant or something like that. It wasn't anything about the restaurant. It was just, it was the fellowship. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
The bonding we used to do. It was really funny. I remember the one night I just so happened to be in the zone and I whooped everyone's ass. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there and like, DD Bob. But like I said, it was just this random. Dave went out on a limb, and all of a sudden, for some reason, it just turned into what we did on Thursdays that last year I was there. And I don't know if they ever went back to it or whatever, but we were really close as a team and as an offense because of it. Like we had a lot of fun.
Lightning round.
Well, first off, you just described a Green Bay that everybody in Green Bay knows and nobody outside of Green Bay could possibly understand. Really good. Like, people eat at bowling alleys all the time. You go up to Door County, they got a million beautiful wine bars, and people go, "Where should you go eat? Go eat at the Sister Bay Bowl." Actually,
it's because those are the places that actually have the really good food. It's like, oh, go there and get the perch, or like, hey, Friday night fish fry. It's like, well, why aren't we at this 5-star restaurant? It's like, because they don't fry fish.
Right.
Sorry, like we're in Wisconsin. Give me a beer. I love
it. All right, here we go. We'll run them through quick. What does Manitowoc mean?
Manitowoc. I don't know what it means, but I know why it's here.
It's dwelling of the Great Spirit.
I will make sure I keep that one in, and I'm going to ask it to my kids.
Best player on your high school football team that was not you?
Christian Taylor. He ended up being the starting middle linebacker for UCLA.
Ooh, excellent. What was the score of the Manti Green Bay Southwest game my senior year in high school?
You played football?
Nope, I watched, but 1982, we lost to Manitowoc 14-10.
Nice.
The Olympics just got over. What would be your dream Olympic sport?
Dude, that shooting one. That was so, you seen the memes of the guy who's like, everybody on their equipment, and his homie just walks up, like, he's like, looks like he's this. Like, you know what I mean? Like
pistol shooting, I love it.
Yeah.
You can have any teammate as an assistant coach on your Manny staff. Who are you going to take?
Ooh, that's a good one, dude. Honestly, Jameis.
He's
just such a great team guy, dude. Like, I trust me. I wish I could populate so many people, but when I think about the kind of guy that you'd want to be around those kids, the kind of impact that he would be able to have in the community, all those kind of stuff, dude. Like he would be, you see it all the time. It's obviously he's been around long enough now. Like growing up, he's kind of learned his, he kind of had his moments, everything like that, dude. But like, I love Jameis. I saw him what was it, last summer when the Saints came up for the joint practices and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, dang. And I'm sitting there and I was just kind of on the sidewalk and I was like, Jameis. He looks over, dude sprints across the street and comes and gives me a hug. And I'm like, hey, bro. And then, starts hugging all my kids and everything, because all my, for 5 years, all my kids, like my nephew, he met Jameis. I remember it was so funny, right? He was, baby, big old chub baby and stuff like that. And I remember and I remember Joe comes out. We're coming out of the locker room, and it's like, we're doing everything. And I remember we turned it around. And Joe's like, why you got the Godfather, baby? You just turned him around like it was the Godfather, like, but no, like, these guys all grew up around my kids and everything. Like, Jameis is my nephew's favorite football player. He has his Bucks jersey, his Saints jersey. I'm going to try and get him, hopefully he doesn't watch this, but I'm going to get him a Cleveland one for Christmas this year. But like, that's, like I said, him, like, everything that Jameis did, everyone makes mistakes in the road, all that kind of stuff. But the person that guy is and what he represents as a person in the world, like, I wish more people would try and be like him.
That's awesome. You mentioned John Kuhn. Can you do the McCarthy Kuhn Pennsylvania accent?
Oh, what? Going down to the barn, drinking? Hey, I got to go to the Haas. Take him to the Haas. Take him down. I got to get down to the barn. You'll go drink beer for about an hour.
Downtown.
Start throwing thumbs everywhere and go. Yeah. No, dude. Honestly, dude, I love that Pat does that stuff. Pat McAfee does all that stuff because every time I hear all that stuff, all I can think of is Mike. Like, all I can think of is Mike and, speeches and stuff like that. And, you start going through it. And don't get me wrong, dude. I love Mike. He's honestly probably one of my favorite coaches I've ever had. Mike is great. Like, I don't know why everyone needs to bash the guy. All he ever does is win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's hard to take teams and get to where you go. Like I said, once you get to the playoffs, man, all bets are off. It's one and done. The chips fall where they fall where they may. Sometimes you're hot, sometimes you're not. It is what it is. But like I said, Mike, I think he gets hosed way too much for stuff like that. Every time I ever turn on a thing, he's had maybe like one losing season since he's been a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, people need to get off that guy's back.
Best guy that lockered on either side of you.
Honestly, TJ was my locker mate, dude, and that was fun. we had some good times.
That'll be the next show.
Yeah, but unfortunately, his locker stunk because all he would ever do, here's a trash can, but for some reason, this little cubby he had was his personal trash can. Thank God, like, the Packers would have guys just kind of go through your stuff and clean your locker out every now and again, just to kind of keep the stench out and everything like that. And they go, like, dude, we find like bananas and like crumpled up papers from 4 years ago and stuff like that. I'm like, how are you finding bananas? He's like, I don't know, but we found like 4 of them. You know what I mean?
100% chance I'm clipping this and sending it to him. 100%.
Oh, no, please do so. And then ask him about how he wore literally the same pair of cleats for like 4 years straight. It's like, bro, you play in the NFL. No. And they stunk so bad, dude. They were so bad. And he was just like, well, this is what I wear. And I'm pretty sure I don't think he's got a new pair of cleats until he went to the Lions. You know what I mean? But no, him.
You had to get some blue ones. Him.
And I'm going to this is my last one because I got to give a shout out to him, is Vincent Jackson. God rest his soul. He's no longer with us. He was, I'd mourned this guy for a long time because he was like one of the best men I knew as a player. And I kind of feel like what happened to him didn't really get I knew his wife and everything. It was devastating what happened. We don't talk about it enough as NFL players and everything like that. But the struggle is real when you get done with football. Like, I have struggled before. I'm just super happy that I have the opportunity to be where I'm at because I am a better person for it. Like, football, it is what it is a way of life. And for the majority of these dudes that play it, man, when they are done with it, they don't know what to do.
Right.
You got these guys, we take us through classes, you try and prep us, but until the Band-Aid is removed and you are out of the sport and life really sinks in, like, those handful of years, like, trust me, there's more guys, it's always kind of just, we brush it over in the media, because it is what it is and that kind of thing. But, I always feel bad because he didn't pass away in his bed, bro. He was found dead in a hotel room 3 days.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it wasn't one of those things like somebody found him immediately. Like, he was sitting in there for 3 days. and God knows the problems and the things he went through. And I wish and I hope I could have done something to reach out to him or something like that. But this dude was NFL Man of the Year, All Pro, Pro Bowler, beautiful family, great foundation. I mean, just a pillar in the community. And, so I'm just kind of picking this last one because since I got you guys on this, a little bit bigger platform, I've been talking about some mental health issues, with even my players, because I've already been dealing with them. You know what I'm saying? And I tell these guys, I'm like, you need to talk to somebody, say something, and that's why I love being what I am, because like I said, I'm like a second father to some of these kids where maybe their home life isn't a situation where they feel comfortable even talking about these things. And we always, and like my assistant coach or my assistant line coach and stuff like that. Like we talk about this stuff all the time on our podcast about how, this stuff is important. And it's one of the main reasons I do these things is because some people don't have anybody that does care about them or have never felt like that or never maybe felt that love or, have demand, but like there's also the compassion part of it in their life. You know what I mean? They might only know one or the other or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, I take all the experiences in my life and all the people that I've known and the ones that have passed on in my life, and trust me, I got more guys I can count that are not here with me that I played with that, than I would like to, especially for how old I am. And so at the end of the day, I just wish that, the NFL tries, they do what they can. But like I said, once you kind of get it, you step out of that building and you're no longer getting a W-2. It's like,
right. So
we got to be better. That's all I got to say.
So I had some other ones. They seem inconsequential right now, and that's good. We'll leave it. So I'll leave it. The one I will ask you this then, having what you said there, you told us about the hip surgery 3 months ago, a few weeks ago. Real simple. The answer may be really complicated. The question's real simple. Would you do it again?
Would never, 100%. The only thing I would do is learn, instead of learning the hard way, I'd take care of my body a little bit better, do some things. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, God gave me the hips that he gave me, and it didn't matter. It was going to happen at some point in my life. It was either going to be when I was 60, if I had never played football, another snap after college, or whatever it is. But, not everybody's hip socket is shaped the same. And unfortunately, mine is in the shape of let me grind out all the cartilage in your hip over time. I just so happen to accelerate the process. Don't get me wrong, my right one's coming down the pipe too. I also got to get my left ankle replaced. The hard part about a lot of it was, the struggling for me with some of the stuff is, once I got my hip done, best decision I ever made. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, okay, I don't know why I was stressing about it so much, but it just seems like, when you spent so much of your life at this really top level, and it's just like, bro, I'm literally turning into a machine here at some point. And I keep telling people, I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to wait it out until they just give me robot legs.
It's gonna make security at the airport hell, but yeah,
tell me about it. But no, 100%, I would do it all over again, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing so that I can try and keep the kids out of doing some of the stuff the hard way, those kind of deals. And just, I want them to have fun with it too, because football is such a great sport. There's no sport like it. And that's why it's the number one sport in the world. Soccer can suck it.
Man after my own heart. Man after my own heart. So let's just put an exclamation point on it right there. Evan, thank you so much, man. It's appreciate to finally meet you, get to talk to you. Even if the all-time series between Manitowoc and Green Bay Southwest is 34-20-1 in favor of the Ships, try not to hold it against us or you. Good luck, man, because you're right. Football teaches lessons that you just can't get in any other place, and you need the right person, though, to help make sure that those lessons aren't lost, right? You lose games, don't lose the lessons. So good luck to you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, can I give one last thing? Can I plug my podcast real quick? It's called On the Line. It's called On the Line with Evan and Ryan. It's on a C. Hafer News where we got some tags. I think our Instagram is On the Line with Evan and Ryan. Facebook, it's On the Line. But trust me, that I don't know how we always do it, but we're getting in the middle of our podcast and I'll be like, and I don't know how I always end up saying On the Line or something like that. Yeah, I should give it a check out. I don't know. Check out some of our later stuff. We got the voice of the Packers, Bill Jart's on. We've had some good guys, but the majority of what started out was talking about the Packers, and then we got to the offseason like, well, the Packers aren't around anymore. So what we do is we've been bringing in a lot of local coaches, just people that we know around, let them tell their story, tell them how they got, we've had speed skaters on, roller derby, the local hockey coaches, we've had other, high school coaches on, but, and we talk about the same kind of stuff where, how did you get into it? Why does you do this? Why is it important to you? And the crazy part is I keep finding out that we all feel the same. And the things and the lessons and the stuff that makes football hasn't changed since 1920 when the Packers were out there and they were called the Acme Packing Company, playing down in City Stadium and all that,
Yep.
It's weird. You think everything's changed, but honestly, the main thing is still the main thing. So
if you can still control the line of scrimmage, you win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's right there.
Appreciate you, Ed. We'll check you soon, man.
Yeah. Hey, Trev, thanks for reaching out, bud. This was a ton of fun. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
You bet. Have fun. Good luck.
Yeah, you too.
We want you to do a whole lot more than just save money. We want your money to grow, just like your dreams. We want you to achieve financial well-being and the feelings that go along with that. Capital Credit Union, doing the right thing.
I am always fascinated to see the league that we all sit in the stands and watch. To see it through their eyes is so fascinating.
It's different to cover it than it is to live it.
Yeah, so
right?
true.
Or to watch it. It's a different life, and it's demanding. And most of the time people see it as, wow, you get all this kind of adulation and there's money. And so people just think if you get enough money, then you got to live with everything.
Right.
And I don't know that that's always the case, but you said he wouldn't do it again. He had a great career, and all those young men that are going to play for him down there at Manitowoc and going to be ships, they'll be better for it, which is good for them.
Yeah, he's clearly got a message that they need to hear that he didn't hear. Pretty impressive guy. Hey, John, Wisconsin, we missed you last episode. What's up?
Did you not do one when you were on DVV? You didn't come up with anything? You didn't even think of one?
I think we just closed the show.
Yeah.
Billy Schrader.
I don't know. I felt like, because the Summer Olympics over and I'm here in Fayetteville bringing Colin back to school one last time and at the end of summer. And I was thinking just sort of one of my favorite summer stories from when I was back at college and we were of drinking age when he was 18. And I just think they should bring this back. There was a bar here called the Blarney Stone. You ever heard of the Blarney Stone?
I have.
Right, it was back out behind Southwest. I don't know if it's something else now, but the Blarney Stone. Sure. And they had two of, I think, the greatest promotions in the history of the world. Okay. There was rally night. Okay, so that rally night you paid $2 at the door. Every well drink was 50 cents, and tappers were a quarter. That was pre-inflation, and it was unbelievable. And that you could go through 4 hours of that, and it always ended up with someone fighting in a parking lot, which was amazing.
Duh.
And that's when cops didn't arrest you. Nobody called. You just fought, and which is different from the story that I'll tell you sometimes when I got thrown into a Taco Bell. But that's not for today.
Okay,
that was the first one. But the other one, and this is the one they should bring back because I think it was just so comical to watch people, was they had something called the Bladder Bash. Are you familiar with the Bladder Bash?
I think I might, but you go.
So the Bladder Bash, you'd roll in, and it was like a $4 or $5 cover. I think it was $5. And they stamped your hand when you came in. And then you drank as long as you wanted until you went to the bathroom. And then there was a guy at the bathroom, and he stamped your other hand. And then when you went up to the bar, they asked you your hand. Then you had to start paying for drinks. And to watch guys or gals to see how long they could go and how long they would eschew trying to go to the restroom and see people literally kind of almost doubled over and crawling to them. It was great theater just to watch people. And then to see guys when they'd go in the bathroom, because they were so cheap that they'd like they lick their hand and they're trying to scrub it off, and then they go, look, I don't have one. They're like, you're right. You don't have a decal or you don't have a stamp, but you just have this giant red thing where it looked like you just down to the bar. So anyway, all I'm just saying is that those were, summer is over and I have to go back to school and the bladder bash is over and there's no more rally nights. And there are times as even at 59, I still miss the Blarney Stone and having people punch me and fighting and drinking too much and drink responsibly. But if any bar that's listening to this, let me know if you have a bladder bash. I'll just come. I just want to come and hang out and watch. And I think it'd be marvelous. I think we need to bring that back. I think it's a fine Wisconsin, fine Green Bay tradition. And we should bring back bladder bash.
You didn't sign a waiver.
For what?
The bladder bash. Because if they did that today, I guarantee you there'd be a waiver involved. Somebody would die and blow up their bladder and
could be. But there were times you're just like, oh my gosh. And then what was worse is that, everybody would hit everybody where they'd finally had enough by the same time. So now you're there, but there's a line at the bathroom.
Bad. Talk about breaking the seal.
I'll put this one in because you're going to love this. Okay. It's about having to go to the bathroom in a bar. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm with a friend of mine, Doug Owen, who he and I had gone to college together. And we're at a place called the Full Moon on Cherry Street in Tulsa. And we've had a few beers. It's very early in the night. It's only like 8 o'clock, 8:30. And there's a line for the bathroom. Doug and I go. We're going to go to the bathroom. And we're standing in line. There's just too big of a line. Like, what are we going to? And so we drove to Kansas, over the line, peed on Kansas, and then drove back and finished the night at the bar. Drove about 70. I guess you had to go up through Bartlesville. It's probably 75 miles, 75 minutes, 80 minutes to the state line. So instead of waiting in the line at the bar, we drove to KU, or drove to Kansas, peed on Kansas, and came back because we're good Missouri Tigers.
Jeez.
So that's not John, Wisconsin, but that just shows you some of the lengths that we'll go to sometimes to reinforce how much we dislike that place.
This is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Today.
I don't know that I'm proud of that. Part of me is, but I don't know that I should be.
Sounds like you did it semi-responsibly anyway.
Yeah, there you
All right,
go.
man. Welcome back from Paris. Good to see you. As you were, Wisconsin. We'll see you next time.
Au revoir.
Remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us.
The Inside Wisconsin Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, Capital Credit Union, Festival Foods, Quick Trip, Legit Pizza, Miller Lite, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, and the University of Wisconsin-Platteville.
Shut up and sit down.